Welcome to a very special edition of the Neon Jazz interview series with New York-based jazz trumpeter Dave Scott. He's got deep Kansas City roots, and he's coming back to Kansas City here in the winter of 2019. He's got one gig on December 23rd at the Westport Coffeehouse with Mr. Michael Eaton, and he has another one at the RecordBar on December 29th with Jeff Harsbarger and Company. They're going to be great shows. He talks all about this and the current Kansas City scene, so please dig this interview, my friends.
Dave, it's great to catch you back up with you. Talk to me a little bit about coming back to Kansas City and how it happened and what's going to happen.
Okay, so I'll be back actually for the holidays, visiting some family and friends, and I'm playing on, actually I'm doing two gigs. I'm doing one on the 23rd with Michael Eaton at the Westport Coffeehouse Theater.
Yes.
You know, downstairs. On the 23rd, I'm not sure what time it starts. I would imagine around 8. I'm also playing one of my gig is going to be at the RecordBar on the 29th, starting at 7 o'clock, 2 sets. Michael's also going to play on that. Jeff Harsbarger, Brian Stever will be joining us.
What's it like for you to come back? I mean, I'm sure there's a whole lot of memories that come into it, but how does that play on your head? You're in the biggest city in the world for jazz. You come back to Kansas City, and one of the prefaces of this, my question is this. Kansas City's becoming a place where people are staying now. It used to be a springboard. Now it's a place that's a destination. What have you seen over the years when you've come back as far as talent and the scene?
Well, I mean, Kansas City's always had what I thought was, especially for a city its size, a pretty healthy jazz scene. And, you know, just the history, you know, down in the Vine, 18th and Vine district that going back into the 30s and 40s, you know, and Charlie Parker and so many great musicians. When I come back now, it's great. I mean, the scene right now seems to be kind of thriving. I mean, there are a lot of really good musicians there, maybe more so than it ever has been. And they all seem to be playing, you know, a great deal. Like, I talked to friends of mine, and they're working like 5-6 nights a week playing jazz. So it's great. So there are a number of clubs, and, you know, and then it's always nostalgic. You know, I grew up in Kansas City, so it's always fun to come back, and it brings back memories of growing up there. I've always loved Kansas City. It's such a beautiful city, and anyway, so yeah, it's always great to come back.
That show that you had a few years ago at the Black Dolphin, I don't know that I'd ever been to a show where the crowd, there was something in that room that I've never felt before. I think Matt Otto was playing, and you guys were just hitting it, and I could just tell that you guys were really feeling it. Is that kind of a general sentiment when you come back, how you feel, the camaraderie, the conversation that you guys have?
It's great. I mean, and it always helps. I mean, we had a really great crowd that night. That was Steve Cardenas, you know, who's also a Kansas City native, and he's been a very successful. He used to tour Paul Motion. I mean, Charlie Hayden's been, you know, he's had a lot of success, and he's also a great musician. I see Steve here in New York. We play sometimes together. It's great to have an audience like that that's listening, and that inspires us as musicians to really lock in. And, of course, the people in the band we've all played. I mean, there's the guys that I've always played with when I come back to Kansas City, Marty Morrison and Matt. I play with Matt probably a couple of 3 times a year when I come back. And I've known Matt since he was like 18 years old. We met when I lived in California. And Ben Leifer's a great bass player. Yeah, but the crowd, when you have a crowd like that, it kind of gets you pumped up, you know, so it was nice.
I know this is a homecoming, and that in itself is probably, I would think, enough, along with the caliber of musicians for people to come out. But if you had to tell somebody that's wavering and thinking about what they're going to do on one of those 2 nights that you're going to be back, what would you say to them that would make them, convince them, hey, you need to come out and hear this?
Well, I just say, first of all, I'm playing with some of Kansas City's best musicians. And the music's going to be interesting. It's going to be original music. It's not going to be, you know, it'll be different, bordering on avant-garde, with traditional. We all have traditional roots. So I'd say, yeah, come out, check us out, give us a listen. You know, it's going to be interesting, I hope.
Without a doubt. So before we sign off here, again, tell me what the 2 gigs are, where it's at, and what time, all that good stuff.
Okay, Michael Eaton's gig, which I'll be playing with Michael in his band, is on the 23rd, and that'll be at the Westport Coffeehouse Theater. I assume it starts around 8, and then I'll be the leader on the 29th at the RecordBar down on Grand. We start at 7. We'll be doing 2 sets, a set from 7 to 8, and then take a break, and then another set at 8:30 to 9:30. As I said, I'll be playing with some great Kansas City musicians, so come down and check us out.
Beautiful. Dave, hey, it's great to catch back up with you, and I can attest to the fact that it's a rather transformative event when you come back to town and assemble with all these Kansas City cats. So have a good, safe travel here, and enjoy your time in Kansas City, man.
Yeah, Joe, thanks.
Thanks for listening and tuning in to another special Neon Jazz interview, where we give you a bit of insight into the finest cats in New York City, Kansas City, and spots all over the world, giving fans all that jazz. And thanks to Dave, as usual, and thanks to Dave, as always, for gracing Kansas City with his talents and coming back home. If you want to hear more interviews, go to Famous Interviews with Joe Domino on the iTunes Store. Visit neonjazz at youtube.com. And for everything Neon Jazz all the time, go to the neonjazz.blogspot.com. Until next time, enjoy the music, my friends.
Neon Jazz.